financial markets, in which we will study today. We will study about the capital market and the instruments of capital market. First, capital market. Capital market is a place where the buyers and sellers can interact and transact financial securities like shares, debentures, debt, instruments, bonds, derivatives, instruments like futures, options, swaps, ETFs, these kind of features. What is capital market? It is the place where the buyers and sellers interact with the financial securities. So here the party X want to buy and the party Y wants to sell. These type of buyers and sellers come together and sell their financial instruments. This is capital market. Here, what is financial market? Capital market instrument. Capital market financial instrument that are used for raising capital resources in capital market are known as capital market instrument. Financial instruments that are used to rising capital resources in capital market are known as capital market instruments. First here, capital market instrument. In money market, these kind of call and notice money, T-bills, term money, certificate of deposit, then commercial papers. We have studied about this. Then in capital market, we will study about the equity shares, preference shares, debentures, bonds, then warrants, convertible debentures. First, we will study about the shares. What is the share? The total capital of a company is divided into small units or unit of small denominations, or it is called as shares. In each unit is called as shares. Small denomination, small unit. The capital is divided into small units, and each unit is called as shares. Next one, it is what is stock? The bundle of fully paid up shares is called as stock. What is fully paid up shares? What are the shares which are the completely paid up are called as stock? It is, in other words, it is called as aggregate of fully paid up shares is called as stock. Then what are the types of capital instrument? There are many types of capital instrument, which can be, first one it is corporate. These are the corporate ones. Then it can be warrant, company fixed deposit, corporate bonds, mortgage, commercial loans, municipal bonds, debenture and bonds. We will study detail about this in our coming videos. In today's video, we will study about the corporate stock, that is preference shares, equity shares, non-voting equity shares, cumulative convertible preference shares. First one, it is equity shares. Equity shares meaning an equity shares is normally known as ordinary share. It is the part of ownership where each member is fractional owners and intimidate the maximum entrepreneurial liabilities related to trading concerns. These type of shareholders in any organization possess the right to vote. They have right. They have small part. They are owners. Equity shareholders. They are owners of the company. Equity shareholders are the owners of joint stock companies. Here, it is the important points. They are owners of joint stock company. They are owners here, and it owners of joint stock company. Features of equity share. Equity share, that is first one, voting rights, right to income, limited liabilities. The voting, they have voting right. They have right to income. Their income is particular, for that particular dividend is paid, and limited liabilities given. First, then types of equity shares. What are the types of equity? Authorized share capital. This amount is highest amount an organization can issue. This amount can be changed time as per the company's recommendations and with the help of few formalities. Authorized, this type of authorized share capital. Highest amount of organization can 10 lakh shares can be issued. That is That is a limit. 10 lakh shares should be issued. It cannot be issued 11 lakh, but 9 lakh can be less than 10 lakh we can issue. Then issued share capital. Issued share is approved capital which an organization gives to the investor, approved, and which the organization gives to the investor. Then subscribe. This is the portion of issued capital which an investor accepts and agrees upon. Investors in agree. I as a investor said I want only 1,000 shares. As it is subscribed capital shares and paid up capital shares. This is a section of subscribed capital. This is the part of subscribe. If I have 1,000 shares, then it is paid up. I will sell 700. I will pay, and 300 I will pay it later. The paid up capital is money that the organization really invests in the company operations. Then right shares. These are those type of shares that an organization issued for to their existing stockholders. They are right shares. For me, the organization or company issued for the existing stockholder. This type of share is issued by the company to preserve proprietary rights of the old investors, to save the old investors proprietary rights. Then bonus shares. When the businesses split the stock to the stockholders that in the dividend form, we can call it bonus shares. We can split. Bonus shares are given. Then sweat equity shares. This time of given to the workers. This type of shares is allotted only to the outside workers or executor of an organization for their excellent work on providing intellectual property rights to the organization. Intellectual property, that is patent, copyright, these type of intellectual property rights, they are provided, the sweat shares are provided to the workers, employee or executives. Then what are the merits of equity shares capital? Equity shares does not create a sense of obligations and accountability to pay a rate of dividend that is fixed. They provide rate of dividend that is fixed. ES, that is equity shares, can be circulated even without establish any extra charges over the assets of an enterprise. They can be circulated without any extra charges over the asset of the enterprise. It is perpetual source of funding and the enterprise has to pay back the exceptional in except has to pay whatever the dividend it has to pay even this year or next year. But exception is there under liquidation. Only in the liquidation or the company has required, then only there is exemption. Then equity shareholders are authentic owners of the enterprise who possess voting rights. No doubt voting right is important. Equity shareholders first difference is that is they have voting right. Then demerits. The entrepreneurs cannot take the credit or an advantage if the trading on equity when only equity shares are issued. There is a risk or liability or overcapitalization as equity capital cannot be reclaimed. They cannot be reclaimed and risk is involved in every business. The management can face the hindrance by equity shareholders by guidelines and systemizing themselves. Face hindrance about that. When the firm earns more profit, then the higher dividend has to be paid, which leads to the rising in the value of shares and marketplaces as it edge the speculation as well. That if there is a profit is more, then certain profit percentage profit is higher dividend has to be given to equity shareholders. Next year, the differences. What are the differences between equity shareholders and the preference shareholder? Important one. Please note down this. First one meaning are the equity shareholders are the ordinary shares of the company. It represents the part and the ownership of the shareholders in the company. Then the preference shares are the shares that carry preferential rights over the payment of dividend and repayment of capital. Equity shareholders, they are the owners, but the preference shareholders, they carry a preferential right. If they get a profit, certain type of percentage profit, they have to given first. First, before equity shares, preference shares are dividends are paid. Then payment of dividend. Dividends are paid to the equity shareholder only after the settlement of other liabilities. After other liabilities are settled, then only the dividends are paid. The shareholder may not get any dividend at the time of loss as they have no right to get arrears of dividends here. And here the preference shares are paid dividend in preference over equity shares. Equity before they are paid winner. And cumulative preference shares have the right to get arrears of dividend. Here can get arrears of dividend. Rate of dividends. Then the rate of dividend is not fixed, hence it is fluctuating year after year. But preference shares they have fixed rate of dividend. Then voting equity shares has voting right in general meeting. Preference shares don't have voting right in general meeting. Equity shares cannot be convertible, but preference shares can be converted into equity share. Then repayment of capital. In the event of winding of the company, the equity share are repaid at the last only after settlement of other after giving everything to other liability, after paying everything, then if anything remains we give to equity shareholders. But in preference shares, in the while winding up of the repaid before the after paying of liability also the preference shares are paid before equity shares. Equity shares they are paid but after the preference shares. It can be dividend also or it can be winding up also. Redeemables. Equity shares are not redeemable. Preference shares are redeemable. So with this we will end our today's video. In next video we will study about the warrants, then debentures and public deposit. With this, we will end our today's video. Thank you.